Yo, what is going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video. So this will probably be the final recap that I do for this week. But yeah, I just wanted to make a kind of an exclusive recap for the YouTube community. So yeah, so let's get into it. So you guys see up here, my balance is 57,540. The Top Step dashboard has updated its past 5 Central Standard Time. So I can't show you guys the P&L that I made, I guess, from yesterday, which is today. Since they updated it at 5, I can't show you guys the P&L, but we made about $1,800 or $1,850 or something like that. So you guys can go check out my Instagram story, link for my Instagram down below, to see that P&L that I posted. We were actually down about almost close to $600, and I'll show you guys where I took that L. And it necessarily wasn't an L because the idea played out, but I'll show you guys all the trades that we ended up taking on live stream and the one I alerted to my group, and then the last one that I took here at the end of the day. So yeah, let's get into the recap. We're going to go over my thoughts, everything I've seen on the charts, and why I took the trades that I took today. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, so jumping onto the charts here. So the first trade that my community took, they took it on their own using the flow state model. So if you guys want a free PDF for the flow state model, there will be one down in the description below. So if you guys want a flow state model guide, I created a completely free PDF. It will be in the description down below. So if you guys want the flow state model guide, it's a free PDF, completely free. It'll be down in the description below. Anyways, the community ended up taking this model here. Anyways, the community ended up taking this trade right here at 9:30. So you could see 9:30 open higher into this bearish 15-minute fair value gap. If we go to the 1 minute, you'll see that we had a nice flow state model right here. So again, the flow state, we don't require SMT divergence. We don't require an inverse fair value gap. All we need is the higher time frame context and narrative, right? Because at this point in time, when we were coming into market open, we already had displacement to the downside, right? And even up here, we had a higher time frame flow state model pop up. So when we swept out this 1030 high over here for Monday, we ended up changing delivery on the 15-minute time frame from the 4-hour fair value gap. Again, using time frame alignment, that's how we figure out where the CISDs come in at, right? Using time frame alignment. So from a 4-hour fair value gap after sweeping the 1030 high over here from yesterday, we got a 15-minute change in delivery. We're displacing lower, so that's telling me that price wants something down here, either this 12:30 a.m. low or most likely the Asia low. Why is the Asia low important? Because it is a session low. That's a very important sell side level, right? So you can see here at 8:45, 9, 9:15, and 9:30, we respect this 15-minute fair value gap. Again, just jumping onto the 1 minute here, you'll see that we ended up getting a nice sweep on liquidity here at 9:30. So right at 9:30, new 15-minute candle opens higher, sweeps out these relative equal highs here while respecting the 15-minute fair value gap. We get a very nice displacement. Remember in the flow state video, I told you guys, when you tap into your higher time frame PD rate, you want a quick displacement, right? So we're incorporating time into this too. So 9:30, right? We want to wait for market open. So market open taps into that PD rate while sweeping these relative equal highs right here. So 9:30 opens higher, push down, immediate push down. This is what you want to see right here. Ideally, this is what you want to see. Yes, you can have, consolidation for a little bit, but ideally, this is what you want to see right here. So then we make a fair value gap right here. 933, 934 taps into it. And this is where a lot of my students ended up taking the trade right here for a total of like 70 some points. So I did not take this trade because I like waiting 15 minutes to 30 minutes for that opening range to form. And then we ended up just falling lower. So right around here, I didn't notice this until after the fact, so I did end up missing out on the longs in the morning, but we came down after this 9:30 Judas swing, we came down to tap this 15-minute order block, right? This 245 15-minute down close candle, that is an OB. So you can see 9:45 turtle soups the previous 15-minute candle's low, tapping into this order block. And then on the 1 minute, again, we get the flow state model right here. Again, we don't require an inverse fair value gap. We don't require an SMT. All we need is for this to fit the narrative on the higher time frame, the context, right? We just want to be logical, right? We want to use fucking logic with all of our ideas, right? So we tap that 15-minute order block down here, and then we get a nice change in state delivery here. I swear the flow state model was all over the charts today. So if you guys were trading today, you guys seen my signature model literally everywhere on the chart today. So we end up getting a nice change in delivery here. And then the market started to run away right here. So this is where we started changing order flow to the upside. So you can see a fair value gap form above the CISD. We get a tap of that fair value gap here, then it runs away. Now, this is where I wanted to go long on this fair value gap right here that broke this high, or the one that formed after, you know, breaking through this high right here. So price came down after sweeping these highs right over here. So we ended up coming down lower to this 1 minute fair value gap that formed after breaking this high, after sweeping these relative equal highs. So the reason why I didn't take this trade right here, because I told my group I wanted to get in on one of these fair value gaps here, because this fair value gap broke this high, this fair value gap formed after breaking this high. So it was either one of these two that I wanted to get in, but I wanted this bit of price action to form on the second 15-minute candle within the 10 a.m. hour. So right here is when 10 a.m. opened, and it's perfectly fine if it opens higher because we are distributing higher. So if we go to the 4-hour chart, if we come to the 4-hour chart here, right when 10 a.m. opened, we had a 4-hour CRT. So using the 2 a.m. candle as our range, I am expecting higher. So it's perfectly fine for 10 a.m. to open high, because on the third candle in a CRT model, we are expecting the third candle to be distribution to the opposing side of the range, which is this 2 a.m. high, which is the London high, right? So again, on the 15-minute chart, we get a change in state of delivery above the 9:30 opening. We get a nice closure here. So what I wanted, like I said, what I wanted before I switched to the 15-minute time frame was I wanted this candle here, this second 15-minute candle within the 10 a.m. hour, to go lower and tap into those 1 minute fair value gaps, because at that time we had an SMT divergence with ES, but I liked the displacement. I liked how we closed. Unfortunately, I did not end up taking that trade because, again, I wanted that second 15-minute candle to come lower. So I wanted this to close somewhere like here before taking these highs, and then the next 15-minute candle to come down, preferably tap that, and then those 1 minute FVGs, and then I would have got in that to attack the London high. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. We just came down. We tapped the fair value gap that formed after breaking this high, which is a high probability fair value gap, if you guys don't know, which I don't see literally anybody talking about. So if you see anybody else talking about that, maybe ICT has talked about it, but haven't seen any other influencer, quote unquote, talk about the importance of the fair value gap that breaks highs or lows, or sweeps highs and lows, right? Those fair value gaps, if you're expecting continuation to your next objective, they should be respected, which, as you guys can see here, we sweep, we come down. A lot of people probably try and short this because they see a bearish fair value gap, a break of structure. That's not what you want to do. You really want to pay attention to this here. It's always best to wait for confirmations rather than just jumping the gun because you think that something is going to happen. It's not what you want to do. It's not how you trade. So we come down, retest this, the one that forms above this high here, which is the 930 high, which is also important. And then we push all the way up to that London high there. All right. So this is where we ended up taking the first trade here. But as you guys can see, I mean, absolute beauty. The flow state model has literally a very high win rate if used properly. So same logic applies here. After we ended up closing above the London high, I'm looking and paying attention to this 5 minute fair value gap. Now, in all fairness, I did rush into this trade. We came back to tap this 5 minute fair value gap that formed above the London high after we broke through it. So the same logic applies, just how, like I was explaining it on the 1 minute chart down here, same logic applies up here. So 5 minute fair value gap ends up being respected, as you guys can see, to move higher because this is the one that formed after breaking the London high. But I ended up rushing into this trade here. So 1035, once it souped the previous 5 minute candles low, I looked for a 15-second CISD. So if you come over here, I looked for a 15-second CISD right here using time frame alignment because I was expecting this to move higher here. So this is where I entered here in this fair value gap, and I only entered with like one contract. And I ended up getting out once I started seeing this fail because I was trying to aim for that 616 area. So all the way up here. So this would have been a really solid trade if it worked out. But unfortunately, once we started pushing down like this, I ended up getting out right before this low was taken. And I told the group I was getting out. So I didn't want to risk this just, you know, reversing or something like that. Even though order flow was bullish, I didn't know how long they were going to fuck around here in this 5 minute. And then right when we swept this low, that's when the 15 minute fair value gap ended up forming, and it ended up respecting this 15 minute fair value gap all throughout the day. So if we go ahead and just play this, I mean, you guys can see what happens here. So I don't trade from 11 to 12. 11 a.m. is my cutoff time. I don't usually like trading at 11 a.m. But as you guys can see here, I mean, again, the same logic applies. We have the 15 minute fair value gap here, the one that formed after breaking this high, after breaking through this buy side level here. We ended up forming this last fair value gap here. This fair value gap down here, I was wanting it to come down to here, But upon further examination, this was a breakaway gap. All right. So right before this move happened, I was telling everybody this probably is a breakaway gap because we got the breaker here. And then this fair value gap here is being respected. So you wouldn't want to see us close below this or even wick below it. You want to see this fair value gap stay untapped, right? So we ended up pushing higher up into that 616 level, or up into the the 563 level. The 616 level was the one that I ended up taking it to later on in the day. So we ended up pushing higher like this, and then this is where I started paying attention to price action here as the PM session was forming here. So 1 p.m. opened high, and it ended up sweeping the previous 1 hour candles high, and this is where I alerted some shorts here. I alerted shorts here in this 5-minute fair value gap. I was just waiting for a 15-second CISD, and we ended up getting it. But at the same time, this was during the 150 to 210 macro. So we were forming a 1 hour fair value gap. So you can see the 1 hour over here to the right. We were forming a 1 hour fair value gap. So this is at 150. We ended up getting in, and I ended up alerting this trade at 155. We got a 15-second CISD in here. And what I wanted to see was us push lower into the CRT low. So you can see the 1 hour, how we come up here at 1 to sweep the 12 p.m. high. And then we were closing the 1 p.m. candle in the 12 p.m. range. So if I mark out the range, right? So if I were to mark out my range here, this box here, this rectangle is the 12 p.m. range, right? So if I just drag this out, you can see this is the 12 p.m. range. 1 p.m. was closing within it. And I liked how the 5-minute fair value gap was holding. We got the 15-second change in delivery. So we had all the confirmation there. So we entered here and we took it down to the 1 hour fair value gap. And whenever you're trading candle range theory or CRT for short, the first TP, especially if you're counter trend trading, is always at the 50% level of whatever range you're trading. So in this case, this is the 12 p.m. range. We come lower, we tap into the 1 hour fair value gap. But not only that, we tap into the 50% of that CRT range, of the 12 p.m. range. So if we've been bullish all day and we just formed a 1 hour fair value gap, a fresh one, I'm looking to get all out right here, which I did, right? And then this ended up pushing higher off that 1 hour fair value gap. And this is where I re-entered on a long, right? This is where I entered on a long. So got out the shorts there for about 20, 30 points, came back up. We closed above the opening price of this first down close candle in the series of down close candles that taps into that PDA rate or sweeps liquidity. Boom, it taps it perfectly. So 225 comes down, taps a 5-minute fair value gap, taps a CISD. I enter right here, and then we take it up to 616, and I am all out. So this was a trade about like 70 plus points. All in all, it made about 90 plus points today. Absolute banger. So those were the 3 trades that I ended up taking. So 2 alerted, 1 loss, 1 win on the shorts, and then the other one, this one right here, I actually ended up taking on my own. I was driving, I liked the setup here, 1 hour fair value gap, followed all the rules that I had. We were still bullish, we were still showing willingness to drive higher. That 616 level was that minor buy side right here. This is actually where I went short on the Asia session back on Sunday night. So funny enough, we came back up to sweep that high. But yeah, that is going to be the recap for today, and my thoughts and everything that went into today and everything that I saw for today. If you guys found value in this recap, please leave me a like, subscribe. It really helps the channel. I'm trying to get to 100K subscribers, so let's make it happen. Let's fucking make it happen. And if you guys want the flow state model guide, like I said in the beginning, if you guys want to know the requirements, what it takes to form a good flow state model, literally everything you need, like examples and everything, all that good stuff, the flow state model free PDF guide will be down in the description below. And if you guys want to be mentored by me, I do have a mentorship launching over the weekend. This weekend, it is limited spots, and I will be vetting everybody. So whoever qualifies, I'm going to be personally mentoring you. So if you guys want to join that, the waitlist link will be in the description down below as well. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this recap. I will catch you guys later. Peace out, guys. Have a good rest of your guys' day.